Some places are forgotten for a reason, but what if finding them changes everything? This is the chilling tale of a man, a cabin, and a mystery that defies time itself. What started as a peaceful hike turned into a nightmare of endless loops. Stay with us to hear the full story. The Forgotten Cabin in the Woods. In the summer of 1987, Michael, an experienced hiker, ventured into the deep forests of Oregon, seeking solitude and silence. While exploring a lesser-known trail, he stumbled upon something strange, a cabin hidden among thick trees, partially covered in moss and vines. It looked old, almost untouched by time, yet there was no dust on the steps or cobwebs at the entrance. The door was slightly open, creaking with the wind as if inviting him inside. Michael had hiked this region many times, yet he had never seen any trace of this structure before. Strangely, it wasn't marked on his map, and there were no signs of any paths leading to or from it. The cabin seemed misplaced, like it didn't belong to the forest, or this time period. Drawn by an eerie sense of curiosity, Michael stepped forward, unaware that his life was about to change forever. The clock that ticked backward. As Michael stepped into the cabin, a chill ran down his spine. The interior was dim, lit only by narrow rays of sunlight piercing through dusty windows. The air was cold, still, and heavy with silence. In the corner stood a large antique grandfather clock. At first glance, it seemed ordinary, but then Michael noticed something unsettling. The hands were moving in reverse, not fast, not erratic, just a steady backward tick. He checked his own watch. It had completely stopped. The room felt detached from reality, like time itself had shifted. He stepped outside, hoping to shake off the strange feeling, but the sun hadn't moved. Minutes felt like hours. The forest was silent. No birds, no breeze, just the ticking sound echoing in his mind. The cabin wasn't just forgotten, it was frozen, suspended in some unknown space where time obeyed a different rule. The journal on the table. Before leaving the cabin, Michael noticed an old journal lying open on a wooden table. Its leather cover was cracked, the pages yellowed and delicate. The first line sent a jolt through him. If you are reading this, then the loop has begun again. Confused, he flipped through the entries. The dates were from the 1800s, but what shocked him most was the handwriting. It looked exactly like his own. Each entry described events that mirrored his day so far, the path he took, what he was wearing, even his reaction to the clock. The final entry read, "Do not trust the reflection. Do not go back." It made no sense. Who wrote this? How could they know everything he was doing? And why did they sound like him? The journal wasn't just a warning. It was a message from himself, or from a version of him that already walked this path before. The town that denied everything. Shaken and confused, Michael hurried back to town, hoping someone could explain what he had seen. He went straight to the ranger station and described the cabin, even showing them the photos he had taken. But something was wrong. Every picture he had taken was blank or distorted. No cabin, just blurry trees and empty forest. The ranger furrowed his brows and told him there had never been a structure like that in those woods. "Not in my 30 years here," he said firmly. Michael asked around town, showing his trail map and trying to retrace his steps, but no one recognized the area he described. Locals began whispering behind his back. Some thought he was just tired or stressed, but Michael knew what he saw. His broken watch, the ticking clock, the journal, they were real. Or were they? The more he searched for answers, the more reality began to slip away. A visit from the other Michael. That night, back at his motel, Michael couldn't sleep. The images of the cabin, the journal, and the reversed clock played over and over in his mind. Around midnight, there was a knock at his door. He opened it and froze. Standing before him was a man who looked exactly like him, only older. Same eyes, same scar on the hand, but weary, desperate. "You need to listen," the man said urgently. "You've triggered the loop again. I've tried to stop it so many times, but it always begins with that cabin." Michael backed away, heart racing. The man continued, "You have to leave. Don't go back. Don't try to fix it. Just leave." Before he could ask anything, the man, his future self, vanished into thin air. No footsteps, no sound, just silence. Michael was no longer just part of a mystery. He was trapped in it, and it was coming for him. Dreams or memories? In the following days, Michael could not tell if he was dreaming or remembering. Every night, he found himself walking through the forest in his sleep, standing before the cabin's door, reaching for the handle, but waking up just before entering. Yet each morning, he woke up sore, his shoes muddy, and twigs caught in his clothes. The journal appeared again, this time on the seat of his locked car. Another message, written in the same frantic handwriting. "Stop looking. The more you remember, the more you return." Michael began losing track of time. His phone showed missed calls he never heard. Clocks ticked wrong in every room he entered. He stopped trusting mirrors. They showed delayed reflections or versions of him that didn't quite match. He was slipping between two worlds, one familiar, one foreign. The line between real life and whatever the cabin had awakened was blurring fast. He was being pulled back. The final return. Michael could no longer fight it. His curiosity, fear, and obsession blended into one unbearable need to see the cabin again. He drove back to the forest and walked the same hidden trail. The forest felt quieter than ever. When he reached the clearing, his breath caught. The cabin was there, but it had changed. It was no longer old and broken. It looked new, even freshly built. The windows were clean, the steps uncracked. Inside, everything was gone. No journal, no clock. Just a single mirror standing in the middle of the room. As Michael stepped closer, the reflection shifted. It was him, but not the him he knew. The reflection wore 1800s clothing and stared back with knowing eyes. It lifted its hand in a slow wave. Then it smiled and whispered, "Welcome back." Michael's vision blurred. The room spun. In that moment, time folded in on itself, and the loop began again. The loop that never ends. Michael was never seen again. His car was found parked near the trailhead, keys still in the ignition. Search teams scoured the woods for weeks, but there was no trace of him, no signs of struggle, no belongings left behind, nothing. Just one strange item, an old wristwatch buried in the dirt near mile marker 17, ticking backward. Over the years, hikers have reported odd experiences in that same area. Some speak of a sudden drop in temperature. Others hear whispers calling their name. A few have even claimed to see a flicker of a cabin through the trees. But when they look again, it's gone. One man found a leather-bound journal tucked inside a hollow log. The first line read, "If you are reading this, then the loop has begun again." No one knows who wrote it. No one knows what happened to Michael. But one thing is clear, the story is far from over. Some doors, once opened, never truly close. Michael's story leaves behind more questions than answers. Was it time travel, a curse, or something even darker? We may never know. But if you ever hear a ticking clock in the forest, turn back, like, comment, and subscribe for more mysterious tales like this.